Hello and welcome to Clay to Canopy, the show where I attempt to make just about everything from the ground up. It is week 6 on the build of the Don't Wake the Dragon series. It is early Saturday morning, August 27th. This week is going to be a lighter week for me. I'm only going to have maybe 2 to 3 working days, studio days that I can be out here. I'm going to try and make the most of it, but I gotta be honest, it is the first full week back for me to campus and teaching. I teach 5 classes. Also, I'm trying to edit these videos in between, and they progressively seem to be getting longer because lots been happening in the week. For me, it takes about 2 to 3 hours for every 5 minutes of footage that I'm editing, and these videos have been getting into the half-hour to 45-minute marker. The editing always seems to eat up a lot of time, and trying to find the space for that, and it's a different mental space than building. You know, I'd rather be out here building most of the time, but it kind of like knocks me back and forth mentally, where I'm like stretched in different places. On top of that, I'm also teaching, so I'm stretched in other places there. I'm thinking about my students, thinking about their projects, trying to sort out their things along with my own. So, yeah, I'm hitting that weird phase where I don't want to say I'm bored with this process. I love this process, but what is happening is that I'm losing momentum because of the continued breaks. I get a random day out here, and then I have to like split that day between, do I do a bit of editing? Do I get some work done? Still going to the gym. Trying to find dedicated time is now going to be the crunch, and I knew that was going to be the case. I prefer to have long times in the studio where I don't come up for air, but I make do. This is why I work modular. I try to do things in pieces because when I have to break for things, it makes it a little easier to do that. I don't know. That being said, I'm trying to find momentum for the day, trying to find as many long sleeve things I can put on in this not so bad heat. Today it's going to be okay, but it's supposed to get progressively hotter in the week. So what do I have left? This panel, I believe I did both sides. This is the other thing. It's been several days since I've been out here, so I have to do the check of where did I leave off, and then that takes me some time to like sort out things. So this one, I think this cluster is done as far as the adding the tapes to all the joints. It needs to be sanded on this one side. I will take care of that. Once this one and the one other one over there gets sanded, that'll be 4 clusters that I have completed with the full strip seam on both sides. I believe that leaves me with 3 clusters that have not been addressed yet, so I will probably hit those as well. It's too early, I think, for me to try and deal with any kind of sanding at the moment, so I'm going to set this one aside. I think I want to jump into just glassing the pieces that I know need at least one side hit, and then I'll deal with sanding after. I think that's my plan for today. I don't know. I'm feeling I need to like do something that looks productive, and to me somehow sanding, I don't know, man. Sanding is the one thing that I know needs to be done, but every time I do it, I get so obsessive. It takes probably longer than it needs to, and then also I don't know, it just takes long in general. Mentally, sanding is like, oh, it's almost finished. You're gonna put a finish on. You're sanding to get ready for the finish. But this process is not that. I was not anticipating this amount of sanding for this project. I should have anticipated that. I should have known, but it is what it is. Ordered a jumpsuit. Mine is ridiculously too big now. The one that I made, even these sweatshirts that I did my logo on, all of them are too large, and it becomes a safety issue because when clothes are too loose, I keep getting caught on machines and things and like corners of things because this shop is tight. Hopefully I ordered the right size. I couldn't find anywhere to find a jumpsuit local, and I do not have time to make a new one. That should make this go much easier, having something I can throw on and off, at least for changes in between. I've spent a lot of time changing because I don't want to keep dragging that stuff everywhere, back in and out from task to task. Switching gears a bit, I changed, it's getting hot. I also had to lint roll all of that fiber off of me before I went in. I decided to save my sanding for the end of the day. It is still only 10 o'clock. I realized that the sanding takes a lot out of me, and then I'm like thrashed for the rest of the day. I'm moving on to mapping out this panel. This is the panel for the window where the tree is gonna be. In the model, I am 1 inch short of the width. The length is fine to map out the full window on here. It's only at a 1 point at the top that it's a 1 inch too short. Now I'm talking about this back frame so that when I go to do the installation, I can have this to panel these bits to, and it'll be ready to go, and it'll help bring that stability together, because right now what I've been working on is only this part of the body, so I'd have like a wonky shell that doesn't have the backside to support it so that I can have this thing kind of standing upright. So I'm gonna map out this window. But up here, from here to this highest peak point is 12¼ inches, which when I multiply by 4, it ends up being 49 inches, and this board is 48. I think this is 1 inch, right? If this is an inch, where is the more? Haha, back pocket. Yeah, so the border is 1 inch, which means I've allowed for 4 inches in thickness. So that's pretty hefty, and this is an undercut spot that you're not gonna see. So at that top peak point, I'm gonna just make it 3 inches thick where it comes to that peak. I'm gonna, make that border just slightly thinner. Hopefully it won't look too odd. I don't wanna do it at the bottom because that bottom is a straight line. I think I can hide it a little better if I do it up here at the top. I'm gonna spend some time mapping out this border, and I'm looking at it and wishing I had this piece as a separate piece, but what else? It is what it is. 21.25 times 4, 85 inches. Okay, but 85 inches at the point of this. I wanna check it on the actual so that I can make sure that on the actual, I don't end up with wonky measurements. This is not going to be 85 inches because my ruler is smaller. The folding rule is 72 inches long, so it's a little bit shy. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the measurement of what's on here. So instead of 85, I'm going to go with 84¾ According to this window, I fortunately have a right angle to at least start with, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to do my 82 from this end as my right angle. Right, and then let's grab this measurement on the up. Oh no. Ouch, ouch, ouch. This is reading 5, but I have a 27B out there that I should double check this measurement again. If it is 5, that means that 27B should be 20 inches. I'm gonna go find 27B and take that measurement. And I am on the money for that measurement, so I'm going to go ahead and continue that corner. Whoa, I just realized you can't even see that there. Let's rotate this. Bang! It's hard to try and not get the shop lights in view. So, I'm going to run with the 20. I think what I want to do is just map out my angles first, right? So, I'm going to try and deal with as many of that bits as possible. Putting in some set lines, I'll have to measure like probably the high points from the base to where this peak stops, and keep going up like that just to get a gauge. And then I can figure out where the line falls. This is gonna take me a bit of time to do the mapping out, but I'll take care of that first, and then I will come back and add in what the border is gonna be. Oi, one of those days. Probably could use more caffeine. Big surprise, big surprise, big surprise. Is 16½ up from the bottom. Now we're going back that way. Hope I'm doing my maths right. No, I'm not gonna trip out on that side. This and this, I have room to play. One of my colleagues for the high school assigned this idea of mapping to his class, his painting class, and I happened to pop into the class and he asked me what I thought about mapping, and I'm like, well, to me, mapping is all of this stuff, the design part, like the mapping out of a plan. And so I'm like, I do a lot of mapping in my regular everyday here, trying to sort out what goes where and whatnot. So here we go. So here's the major mapping. A lot of geometry in this. Always need a good kitty shot. Babies are out. Yeah, mama. What you doing? What you doing? I had to do some doctoring. I'm abusing the crap out of this model and I need to stabilize the bottom. I think I'm still gonna need to get into the inside. I'm a little reluctant to cut this open because it would just be so much more stable if I left it, but I might. Do I need to get in the inside? It would be much more stable if I leave this whole piece of cardboard and just glue it down, but I don't know if I'm gonna need to get back into it. It's just getting thrashed though, so I need to do something. I feel like I've done most of the measurements outside. I haven't really gone inside. I might be shooting myself in the foot by not cutting this open right now, but I'm gonna just glue it to it as is. I'm gonna get out the hot glue gun. You know what, I'm gonna cut it open. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna cut it open. Just absolutely needs to happen right now. Should have done this before, but here we are. Alright, I got the main shape mapped out. There are some changes I've decided to make with the glass. I would like to fuse this glass because I don't want to have the breakup of the cleanness of this pattern. I know originally I talked in the design model, if I'm using stained glass, I'd have to put in breakers where the stained glass joins. Either that or I'd have to buy a really expensive scroll saw in order to cut the inside out. Even that's risky because you'd be cutting all the negative space and hoping that it fits. I think I'm gonna try my hand at fusing some glass on my own. I have done it in undergrad in the kilns. I also have the backup of a place that I originally got all my glass supplies from. They do offer fusing classes there. So I feel like if I get stuck, there are places I can go to get the answers. Fusing would mean that I layer the colored glass on top of the, in this case, clear glass, cut green circles, put that on top of my sheet of clear glass, and hope that it fuses and allows a little bit of privacy. I don't know, something I have to play with. It may make the shapes of the circles a little more organic with fusing, but that's a problem for another day. For right now, I still need to work out all of this, and I feel like these members are probably gonna have to get thicker. What I'm gonna be drawing out now is all of the tree branches. What I'll end up doing is probably have a good 1/2 inch in where the glass has a place to seat up against. I'm gonna have to put in some kind of rubber weather stripping that will keep it watertight. Ultimately, these panels need to be removable for transportation. That was what I had come up with a few creatives in my life. We had this discussion about the transportation of the window and it rattling. I'm still fighting the idea of this being plexi. I really, really want it to be glass. There's something about the softness of the glass in the way that it looks that I just appreciate better. I'm gonna go full steam ahead with the glass, with the thought in the back of my head that if all else fails, plexiglass is like the alternative option. Remember, I always say I have that fail-safe that I never really talk about. In this case, the fail-safe is the plexi. But, I don't know. There's just a feeling for me. So, for now, that's where I'm sticking. So, gonna carry on, carry on, carry on. I just drank a protein shake. I don't know what's happening to me, but my body is starting to reject the whey protein now. I switched to adding it back into my diet because I needed the extra protein without the fat. My body is like yelling at me to go back to being vegan. I think it may be time. I'm slowly transitioning back to vegan, which I knew was eventually going to happen anyway. So I am going to be cutting all of this negative space out. I need to take some of that clear plastic sheathing I've been using for drop cloth and make myself a template where the glass is going to go, because these will be the green bits that I'll be fusing, or whatever method I end up coming up with. Either way, I'll need the template before I go chopping this to bits and cutting all of this negative space out and leaving behind only the tree. I want to trace all of this out on some sheathing. This is probably going to be the last of my day today. I don't even know if I'm going to get back to sanding. I'm going to force myself, I think, to finish my day with sanding up the rest of those pieces so that they'll be ready to go. The pieces that I have setting over there, the clusters. You know what I'm saying? It's hot. It's hot! And I'm missing my stupid nicks. So this is what I got. It's a little bit hard to see on the camera, but I think I'm okay here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this back up on the table so I can roll out sheathing and trace this with some Sharpie. This debating doing the cutting of this today, and I honestly think that's probably a bad idea. It's now about 2:30 and it's hit 90. I've kind of tapped out. In order to do the cutting of this, I need to clear out all of the stuff back here because this is going to be a whole bunch of sawdust, and I don't want to leave the fabrics and things over here on the floor. I need to bring the fabric for the interior back inside so it can not get messed up. Probably the flooring stuff too. I think I want to relocate a lot of these materials. It'll just make it easier to work out here. Of course, it's going to like pack a bunch of crap into my house that I don't really have room for, but I think it'll be better than having it out here getting constantly filled with sawdust while I'm waiting to use it. I'm going to just leave this here. I will not be back out into this studio until Monday because tomorrow my housemate is having a birthday, so I'm going to Disneyland as usual, right? It leaves me with Monday and Wednesday of this week to work. I want to do this fresh, so I'm gonna go and spend a couple hours sanding up those pieces. I want to keep it sanding towards the end of my day, and then I can just jump right into the shower and be done with it. It is Monday morning, August 29th, and I really liked how things went on Saturday. And here comes the noise. I'm going to talk through it anyway because I just don't have time today. I'm going to continue to do the process of glassing first, then do a bit of work, ending with sanding. It worked really well on Saturday, which left me with 3 clusters left to glass. I might just glass those today and leave the sand for Wednesday. Continue on cutting my negative space for the tree for the stained glass. There's a lot less negative space than the original image because I had to thicken the lines of the tree, but honestly, I'm okay with that. It actually will create a little bit more privacy. I think I will have plenty of light coming through. I also anticipate having lights inside the thing, so I'm not too worried about that. I just wanted to take another fresh look at it to make sure that I was happy with the layout of the design, and I think I am. I'm going to set this aside so that I can move on to glassing. You know what, I'm also going to take a minute to get some of the supplies back inside. I should have done it already, but I need to do it now. The fabric especially. So I was about to drill a bunch of holes so I could cut out the negative space, till I realized it would be best if I cut out the main shape first while I have a little bit more surface space to put my straight edges on. The other thing was I had just realized that this particular piece I set aside for the cabinet facings on the inside of the base because of the excess spalting. It just had a really beautiful spalted pattern, but I totally forgot that this was the piece that I set aside to do that with. But I'm going to use, I think, a stain. Oh, can I get away with that stain? Alright, I gotta figure this out because I would like to keep that spalting as part of the design, but that would mean I'd have to deal with the stain. And the reason why I went with fabric is because there were problems with the stain and the epoxy. I'm gonna run some tests. So, yeah. Not awake. I should get headphones. Should be listening to some music or something. Get me moving. I'm gonna go find maybe a coffee refill. Alright, I am extremely happy with that cutout. I was a little bit worried that it was going to be a little too thick in the pattern, But now that I see the negative space, I'm really happy about it. I took it and leaned it up against the base piece just to see what it was going to look like. Now it does need a bunch of cleaning up. I do need to get in here, sand off some of the edges. I have to double check that I have the right router bit, but I will be basically notching, or I should say cutting a rabbet around the inside of this where the glass is going to go so the glass can sit flush. That is not going to happen this week. I really needed to get the cutout done just so I could see it, and it just gave me a break from dealing with some of the panels. So I'm going to call it here for today, and I will hopefully see you back out here on Wednesday. It is Wednesday, August 31st. Tomorrow is September 1st. I get to haul out my pumpkins. Just kidding. Actually, no, I'm not. I gotta go decorate. Anyway, it's the last day of this vlog, and I am not going to do much today. We're about to head into a massive heat wave, heat advisory situation where they're advising everyone stay indoors between the hours of 8 a.m. and I think something like 8 p.m., which just me no good. So, yeah, I am going to take a break off of filming from week 6 to week 7. What are you guys doing? And I'm gonna do some indoor work. I'm gonna use that time to catch up on some editing. And then I never printed out these cards for the dragon head. I never cut them out. I'm not gonna film that process. It's really just a tedious process of me running the templates on the Cricut again, having it cut a bunch of pieces out, and then going in with a ruler and measuring all of those bits. I'm happy to say that my new jumpsuit has come. It is a men's jumpsuit. I had to order larger for the chest size, and that made the arms a little bit baggier than I need be, and because it's a men's size, I always end up with too long in the legs. I may or may not, if I have time, alter this inside. I'm going to use it today. I'm going to try putting on full glass panels just to see how that process goes. I'm going to use this to get through my glue up this morning, and then I'm going to wash it to see if there's any shrinking that happens, and then I may alter it. So it's super baggy in the leg. This is why I made my own jumpsuit, because you can buy men's jumpsuits and they never are quite fitted right for the female body. We shall see, but these are indoor tasks that I'm going to do off camera, and probably the next time we meet I might have all of those changes done, or I might not. Alright, well, that was clearly a disaster and a waste of materials. I think I'm going to have to do this panel by panel. I will just stay slightly overlapped to my tape. I don't like this fiberglass, the cheaper one. I don't like the quality of it. It doesn't absorb the epoxy that great. The other thing I'm fighting is in this large of a panel, I'm using this fast epoxy. I'm a little tight on funds right now, so I have to try and figure out where I'm getting the $300 to order the slow set epoxy, because I cannot progress until I do that. When these kind of things happen, these are like the cue to step away from the studio. I already started this day with migraine, was in a not so hot mood to be out here, and then this happens. The glue seizes, the fiberglass doesn't want to do what I'm trying to get it to do, and the process just kind of shits the bed. These are those moments where you have to know, okay, I gotta walk away and I gotta go do something else. I'm gonna go clean my house because it's been bugging me. I haven't had time to do the normal life things because teaching 5 classes and then spending every single second I possibly have extra trying to be out here, and mentally I'm just stretched thin. I need to step away. I need to regroup. I need to think about how this is gonna go. I'm gonna start week 7 a week from now. So week 7 of the actual build will be a week pause because of the high heat. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have not done so already. Stick around to watch this project all come together, and remember, don't wake the dragon.